let's just go ahead and get this over with, shall we?
Welcome to Courage and the Constitution. I'm just a guy digging behind the headlines to get to the nuggets of truth. I'm tired of the rhetoric and the propaganda. I'm being lied to by the media. I just want to know what's going on in the world. So let's do this.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for subscribing. For those of you who have, I ask that you please like, share, and subscribe. That's what helps us grow the channel, get our voice out, try to reach more people. Hopefully, maybe even rescue a few. Grow our side. Do what we can to preserve sanity. All right, folks, this is Section 2 of this bill, HR127, that I'm breaking down in full for you. If you haven't watched Section 1 yet, please watch Section 1, or you can watch the video in full that I have also released. It's about 40 minutes or so, which is why I'm breaking it down to make it easier to consume in smaller chunks. But please watch that first and then come back, or at least Section 1 first, and then come back. Watch this one. This is Section 2. If you are a firearm, or if you believe in the right to self-protection and that you don't need to rely on the government to take care of you because the government can't, this is important for you to know, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not me using hyperbole, it's not me trying to fearmonger, and it's not me exaggerating anything. It is literally, in the words of this bill from this congresswoman from Texas, to disarm you and to leave you disenfranchised, and to do so without abolishing the Second Amendment. I'm going to break it down piece by piece. Bear with the video, because you are going to learn a lot. This is going after legal, legitimate, responsible gun owners. And guess what? Legal, legitimate, responsible gun owners are not the ones going out and committing crime. Which means there's another reason, really, behind all this. So, right here, they said they have to have a registry. So you have to have a license to possess a firearm and ammunition. 21 years of age. It goes over some of the details. After applying for the license, keep in mind, then you have to apply for the license for firearm per firearm and ammunition. After you do the license, in order to apply for it, you have to fulfill some criteria. You have to check some boxes. One of them, you undergo a criminal background check conducted by the National Instant Criminal Back. That's the NICS system. That's already what is done when you go to purchase a firearm in a gun shop. Anybody with an FFL, Federal Firearms License, for example. But what this does do is they're trying to disallow private ownership of items you own, things that belong to you, possessions of yours. Like in Georgia right now, I can take a gun I own, I can meet somebody, as long as they're in Georgia, and we're both Georgia residents, and we can do the transaction, okay? So that's completely illegal, all right? And that's also not how the guns are required, because people don't want to be tagged to things. That's not how the guns are required for people who go out and do the crime, mind you, okay? So you can't compare the one to the other, because one does not equate the other, because it does. There's no correlation between the two. It doesn't happen. Okay, so that's the first part. So the NICS system, right? Keep in mind, this is the part I bet you were not expecting. Every single individual who owns a firearm or is going to purchase a firearm, every firearm you purchase, keep in mind, undergoes a psychological evaluation conducted in accordance with paragraph 2. So then you have to have a psych eval. I went on to Google just to do a quick internet search of cost of psychological evaluation. It looks like here, so let's just say $134, for each gun. And each time you purchase a gun, let's just keep watching. Let's keep going here. Undergoes criminal background check, psychological evaluation, successfully completes a training course certified by the Attorney General, that would be the government, in the use, safety, and storage of firearms. That includes at least 24 hours of firearm training. And those costs can vary, but okay, so here's a course for a couple hours at $125. $125 for a couple hours. They want you to have 24 hours of training. I'm not going to do the math right now. It's probably already up on the screen, in post here. So, okay, so that's we'll take a look at that there. Keep that in the back of your mind. So, training and demonstrates that on issuance of the license, the individual will have, in effect, an insurance policy issued. So then you also have to buy an insurance policy. and they're not terrible. So let's go USCCA just to pick one. Now this is probably going to be a government issued insurance policy. Keep that in mind, not private, okay? Because they're keeping control over everything. So USCCA insurance membership, $347 a year. So we're going to add $347 to that per year. Per year, that's annual. Okay? And demonstrates an issue. Okay, here's the second part. Section B. So this was all parts under Section A. Now we're under Section B. Antique firearms display license. Do you own an antique firearm? Are you one of those people that have like a lodge style home and you have a couple old guns, even if they don't work? Even if it's an old flintlock type guns or muskets or something like that, guess what? You have to have an antique firearms display license. That's not even a thing yet, but it will be. And if it is, I just don't know about it. But at least it's definitely going to be. So you're going to have to carry a license for that. I don't know what the cost of it. You know what? Let's just find out really quick. Let's just see if it's a thing. Okay, it is in the UK and Ireland. So I really don't have anything against it to give you a cost, but it is a license. So guarantee you, especially with a whole lot less revenue coming in on tax dollars, that's going to be, look for my video on taxes. These all play in together because these are all different parts of the same big scheme here. So military, so yeah, antique firearms display license. All right, you have to have a license for that. Let's go on. That you are the holder of the license. Let's see. The Attorney General will issue an individual license to display one antique firearm in a residence of the individual. One, if the individual is the license holder, under the subparagraph, supplies proof that the individual owns an antique firearm and describes the manner in which the firearm will be displayed in accordance with regulations prescribed by the Attorney General, so where the firearm is displayed. You literally have to tell them why do they need to know where you store your antique guns or where you display them? How many crimes do we see going out where people are taking pre-Civil War era muskets or M1 Grands from the World War II, going out and committing crimes with them? You want to know how many? 0. This is not about gun safety. It has nothing to do with safety. You need to get that in your head. That is so important to understand, okay? It is so important. It has nothing to do with safety. But let's go on, okay? It describes the manner in which it's going to be displayed, where it's going to be displayed, and how it's going to be displayed. The government wants to know that. Remember in the Constitution, the Second Amendment shall not be infringed. Let's go on. Demonstrates that the individual has provided storage of the firearms safe in a safe facility approved by Attorney General for storage of firearms. Okay, so you're going to display it, but it also has to be in a storage. You see what they do? You see the game they play? You can say it. You have to tell us how they're stored or how you're displaying it. What's it looking like? Oh, and you have to store it in a safe. Do you think one overrides the other? Okay. Military-style weapon license. Do you know what that means? Let me show you. And it doesn't stop there. If you're paying attention or you watch my videos and you're watching the games they play, I'm breaking down for you exactly what they are really saying. Military style firearm. At least they're honest with it. They try to say that these are military weapons or military grade weapons, an AR-15. Guess what? They are not. I'm not going to break it down. I explained it in other videos. This is not what the military use, but it's the military style. So guess what? This is going to get extra attention thanks to good old Sheila Jackson Lee, who literally, in her video, watch the first video I did, she talks about how this thing weighs more than 10 moving boxes. She says this weighs more than 10 moving boxes. And it shoots 50 cal bullets. Do you know how big a 50 cal bullet is? This is a 5.56 shot in an AR-15. Do you see that bullet? This is just the casing. Do you see that little bullet? The size of my pinky fingernail. And I'm only about 5'7". I'm not a big dude, so it's not a big old fingernail. 50 cals are like this. Or 50 mil, rather, sorry. So yes, you need to really understand the context and have all of this background when you understand these bills. So let's see what they say about it. Attorney General shall issue an individual license to own or possess a military style weapon. That's another license. A license for this, a handgun, just for what I'm showing here, a license for this AR-15, 2, and we don't know how much those license fees are yet, so I can't really give you that. Well, you know what? Well, no, because I can only look at what a concealed carry is. That's different. These are not concealed carry. So I don't have those numbers for you. I'm sorry. But look at the other prices. They ain't going to be cheap. And a license for the ammunition. 3 different licenses so far in what I've showed you. And this is not even close to what the average is that most gun owners have in their home. Okay? Remember, safety. After applying for a license under the subparagraph, successfully completes a training course. Another training course. They want you to have another training course certified by the Attorney General in the use safe storage weapon that includes at least 24 hours of training. Whatever number I ended up putting on the screen for the first 24 hours of training, go ahead. There should be a cha-ching sound. Let's just go ahead and double it. Okay? Because now that is what they want for this. For each one. So if you own 2, most people own more than one who do own them. A training course and a license for each one. Are you tracking with me here? Responsible people who don't commit crimes. Is this really about safety? Really? This has nothing to do with inner city urban areas where most of the crime occurs with stolen weapons and illegally procured. Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. Let's go on. So the training, psychological evaluation, again. So we need to double that up. So let's just say psych times 2. It gets better. It gets better. And then the license, I'll need to do times 2. We're just going to assume somebody has just a pistol, just an AR, even though we're just going to assume that. Okay. And as part of the psychological evaluation, the licensed psychologist interviews. Keep in mind, in each of these is a new cost. So we're going to have to put a check mark next to this. Interviews any spouse of the individual. So an evaluation for yourself, an evaluation for your spouse, any former spouse of the individual, right? So let's say you're divorced. You have a former spouse. This is crazy. And at least 2 other persons who are members of the family of or an association of the individual to further determine the state of mental, emotional, relational stability of the individual in relations to firearms. So that's 1 psych eval for you, plus 4 more psych evals, about 100, let's just call it $150 each. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, say $700 in psych evaluations to own a gun, where millions of them are owned by millions of people, and there are not millions of shootings and crimes occurring out there. Psych evaluation for the legitimate law-abiding citizens in your country shall not be infringed. Don't forget the oath of office. Your fidelity to the Constitution, right? Don't forget that. And also remember to protect against enemies, foreign and domestic. Let's go on here. So you have the psych evaluation, right? And then you have to determine the Attorney General. It talks about all these things where it kind of breaks down. They determine, have you ever been hospitalized? Do you have a mental illness? Okay. Depression, anxiety. I've done another video on the sheer numbers of depression and anxiety and the different forms of in this country. That is considered a mental illness. That will not allow you to have a firearm. Oh, we still have the Second Amendment, right? But can they take away your rights to own arms without actually taking away the Second Amendment? Come on. So mental illness, disturbance. They just say disturbance. What do you do with a big open-ended term like disturbance? Disturbance or diagnosis, including, see right here, like I just said, including depression. Okay? And of course, they want to see if you have suicidal ideas and so forth. Addiction to a controlled substance, with a meaning of the controlled substance, or alcohol, or brain disease, including dementia. Now keep in mind something else about the psych eval. How many times have you heard, and it's not the official position, but it's been pushed by Congress people and just lawyers and so forth on the left, that those who voted for Trump, and especially the children of those who voted for Trump, need to go through a re-education process. So your psych eval means that you could be conservative just because you're conservative. Think about that. Think about the dangerous precedents this sets. But they're not coming after your guns. Oh, we're not turning into a socialist country. Think about that. And remember, they called Donald Trump fascist. Think about just this bill and think about all the precedents it sets and the little pebble it drops in the water that creates the bigger and bigger ripples. Shall not be infringed. A license itself is an infringement, but shall not be infringed. Expiration of a license. A license issued to the individual under... Okay, expiration, I get that. Okay, so a 3-year license, renew it every 3 years, whatever the cost of that is going to be. That's not abnormal in the case of concealed carry, for example. You have to do a renewal. Every state is different in theirs. Okay. Oh, and every time you get the license, it includes another 8 hours of training. I'm not even going to worry about factoring that into the cost. You're getting it. Oh, wait. Fee, here we go. Fee specified in the paragraph. How much do you think it is? Take a guess. You see what's on the side here? This is a fee for the license. You have to have a license, remember? This is the fee. $800 per gun and ammo. But no, they're not taking away your right to bear arms. The term, okay, then it goes into military-style weapons. Military-style weapons, any firearm that copies, duplicates the firearms in any caliber. Did you know they use 9mm in the weapon? In fact, this right here is a Sig Sauer P320X Compact, okay? Sig Sauer P320X Compact. The full-size Sig Sauer P320 essentially is the contracted sidearm for the military right now. Which means this typical pistol is a military-style weapon. You can't help but say it is. It's literally a smaller version of that which is actually used in the military. 9mm. It says right here, any firearm or copies or duplicates or the firearm in any caliber. 9mm is probably the most common caliber for firearms out there for pistols. $800. I haven't even gotten to the taxes. So $800. So Norinco, Mitchell, Pauly, and so forth, and it goes down and breaks a bunch of things. So any military style firearm, it includes here a Colt AR-15. This is very important because they do not use AR-15s in the military. They use Colt LEO AR-15s for police. But I told you what they're doing, the game they're playing. It's not a military, but it's military style. Semi-automatic rifle that has a detachable magazine and has at least 2 of a folding or telescoping stock. Think about that. What does a stock that folds have to do with committing crime? It's not about that. It's not about crime. A pistol grip that protrudes beneath the action of the weapon. Let me show you something. This is the action of the weapon up here, okay? Right up here. A pistol grip protrudes. Every single gun has a pistol grip that protrudes below the action. Every single gun. Essentially, it's saying, if you're really reading it, you understand what it's saying. Every gun meets military-style qualifications. Folks, I have to interrupt this piece of the video because as I'm going through edit, I realized I forgot a couple very important points on these list of items while I was recording that are putting weapons or guns on a restricted list. Remember, it is any two of these. One of them, of course, was a grip below the action. Action up here, pistol grip is right here. Action up here, pistol grip is right here. Literally every single gun. So that's one check already. There's one that I forgot. One is it mentions here, flash suppressor. Flash suppressor is this little bit right here, and that is a piece of every single AR that is out there. Every single AR that is out there. What does it do? It does just what it says. Flash suppresses. Does it keep from being able to see a flash? Does it make you invisible if you're shooting at night? Not at all. It just helps suppress it. So already, according to their list, each of these, military style, right? That's one check. Each of these, a grip protruding below the action, that's 2 checks. This one just by itself, flash suppressor, that's 3 checks. And then if we go down as well, beyond threaded barrel and all that, it does talk about it does mention a semi-automatic pistol that includes certain things. This is a semi-automatic pistol, right? One of the things it says just right there in section C, detachable magazine. Every single pistol. So now it's a semi-automatic pistol. Now it has a detachable magazine. Now it has a handle that protrudes below the action. Oh, now it's also a military style. Oh, but they're leaving nothing out. Do you see the game they're playing? They literally want to make sure they cover everything that ends up on the restricted list. Oh, you can have certain licenses and that kind of stuff. Oh, but at the same time, it's restricted. One is going to have to supersede the other. So, the other thing that it talks about is, when it mentions barrel suppressors and so forth, I need to also bring your attention to a barrel shroud. A barrel shroud is this piece right here. Why? Because the barrel runs through it. The barrel gets hot. You can't touch it. When you've got that much material going through it so quickly, it creates so much friction that it gets hot. So it even says right here, a barrel shroud that is attached to, or partially, or completely, make sure we get them all, encircles the barrel. That permits, why is there a barrel shroud? That permits the shooter to hold the firearm with a non-trigger hand without being burned. Yes. Because you have something that keeps you from getting burned, that's also on the ban list. Oh, and then what else does it say? A manufactured weight of 50 ounces or more when the pistol is unloaded. At least they give us that little bit of grace. But this little guy right here, almost 30 ounces. Almost 30 ounces, and this is a compact. Think, people. So, do you see what they are doing? For the people that say they're not trying to take your firearms, listen, I can't say it any more clear than this. They are literally trying to take your firearms. And if they can't, they are making it as impossible as they can to keep you from owning any. Oh, but we're not touching the Second Amendment, right?